The headlines are stark, echoing across newsrooms and financial centers around the world. Major publications and broadcasters are scrambling to analyze what many are calling the most significant trade realignment of the decade, and the numbers are staggering. $2 trillion, an almost unimaginable sum, has shifted hands, sending ripples through the global economy and rewriting the rules of international commerce. In a seismic shift, European nations have redirected $2 trillion in trade away from the United States and toward Canada. Container ships that once sailed routinely to American ports now chart new courses for Canadian harbors, signaling a profound change in the flow of goods and capital. This is a fundamental realignment of alliances, signaling a dramatic loss of confidence in the US and a powerful vote of confidence in Canada. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. As the US flag is lowered at trade events, the Canadian flag rises, representing a new era of partnership. The move is sending shockwaves through boardrooms and financial markets, forcing a global rethink of commerce. Executives are urgently reassessing strategies, while traders scramble to adjust to the new reality as billions in investments hang in the balance. For decades, Europe and the US were economic bedrocks, their partnership forming the backbone of global trade. Together they set standards, shaped policies, and drove innovation, creating a sense of stability that businesses and governments relied on. Now that foundation has cracked. The once solid alliance is showing deep fractures as old certainties give way to new uncertainties. Frustrated by unpredictable US trade policies, European leaders are seeking more stable partners, and have found one in Canada. The shift is not just about economics, but about trust, reliability, and shared values. This pivot is a deliberate strategy to build a new, more predictable trade corridor across the North Atlantic. Animated maps show the dramatic rerouting of trade as Europe bets on a future with Canada at its side. For the US, it's a significant blow. The loss of such a massive trade partner means empty ports, idle cranes, and a sobering reassessment of its role in the world economy. For Canada, a monumental opportunity. The influx of European trade is fueling economic growth, boosting confidence, and positioning the country as a new global hub for commerce and innovation. For Europe, a bold assertion of sovereignty. By choosing its own path, the EU is demonstrating its ability to shape its destiny, independent of American influence. This is more than money crossing borders, it's a shift in power and the nature of global partnerships. New agreements are being signed, and the movement of goods is matched by the movement of ideas and influence. The story of how Canada became Europe's new trade darling, and how the US found itself on the outside, starts here. This is not just a tale of economics, but of changing alliances, evolving priorities, and the dawn of a new era in global trade. The global trading system is being radically transformed. The old rules and partnerships are being rewritten, largely due to the US' aggressive trade posture. Tariffs and trade wars have injected uncertainty, forcing nations to rethink their reliance on the American market. Countries are now forging new alliances and building resilient supply chains that bypass the US. This is a global phenomenon. Asia, South America, and Europe are all diversifying. The goal: reduce vulnerability to the policy swings of a single superpower. The result is a fragmented, multipolar economic landscape. Nations must now be agile and collaborative, prioritizing diversification and resilience. Those who adapt will thrive. Those who cling to the old ways risk being left behind. Amid global turmoil, as economies around the world face unprecedented challenges and uncertainty, the question of national resilience has never been more urgent. The shifting tides of international trade, political instability, and rapid technological change have forced countries to reconsider their place in the global order. In this climate, Canada has made a bold and historic declaration of economic independence, signaling a new era for the nation's future. During a tense and closely watched visit to Washington, Prime Minister Mark Carney stood firm, publicly rejecting the long-held notion that Canada's economic fate is inevitably tied to the United States. His message was clear: Canada will chart its own course, regardless of pressures from its powerful neighbor. This bold stance is now the cornerstone of Canada's new economic strategy, shaping every major policy decision and guiding the nation's approach to global engagement. For decades, Canada was often viewed as an extension of the US market, its fortunes rising and falling with those of its southern neighbor. But Carney's government decided that this vulnerability could no longer be tolerated. The new strategy is ambitious: pursue untapped markets, build robust global relationships, and reduce dependence on any single partner. The goal is clear: to prove that Canada can not only survive, but truly thrive on its own terms, driven by innovation, entrepreneurship, and a renewed sense of national purpose. This assertive approach has resonated powerfully both at home and abroad, inspiring confidence among Canadians and earning respect from international partners. Canada is now seen as a stable, independent force in the global economy. Across Europe and Asia, leaders and investors now recognize Canada as a sovereign nation with its own distinct interests, values, and vision for the future. This new perception has opened doors to lucrative trade opportunities, fresh investments, and strategic alliances that were once out of reach. Canada's unwavering commitment to economic independence is now both a point of national pride and a pragmatic imperative, ensuring prosperity, security, and a brighter future for generations to come. The impact on Canada's economy has been immediate and profound. As global dynamics shift, the country finds itself at a crossroads, forced to adapt quickly to new realities. The once familiar patterns of trade and commerce are being rewritten in real time, and nowhere is this more evident than in the nation's ports and industrial centers. Exports to the U.S. have declined, creating uncertainty for many businesses. Yet, rather than signaling defeat, this loss became a powerful catalyst for transformation. Canadian companies, both large and small, recognize the urgent need to diversify and innovate, seeking out fresh opportunities beyond their traditional partners. Canadian industries, from advanced manufacturing to natural resources and agriculture, began urgently searching for new markets. This drive for diversification sparked a wave of creativity and resilience, as businesses retooled their operations and explored untapped regions for growth. The result? Exports to Europe have surged dramatically, making the $2 trillion shift not just a statistic but a visible, tangible reality. Canadian goods are now reaching new shores, forging stronger economic ties with the European Union and beyond. Shipments of technology, agricultural products, minerals, and energy are flowing across the Atlantic in record volumes. This surge is not limited to raw materials. High-tech products and innovative solutions are also finding eager buyers overseas, further strengthening Canada's global reputation. This strategic pivot has not only compensated for U.S. losses, but has also opened up exciting new avenues for growth. Canadian businesses are forging partnerships, signing new deals, and celebrating milestones that seemed out of reach just a few years ago. Diversification is now deeply embedded in Canada's economic policy. The government is investing heavily in infrastructure, trade promotion, and workforce development to ensure the country remains competitive and resilient in a rapidly changing world. The goal is clear: a robust, self-reliant economy that is insulated from future shocks and capable of thriving no matter what global challenges arise. For Canadians, this transformation means more than just numbers on a balance sheet. It translates into new jobs, greater innovation, and a renewed sense of confidence in the nation's future. Young professionals, skilled tradespeople, and entrepreneurs alike are finding fresh opportunities in this new economic landscape. Canada is moving from dependence to strength, embracing its role on the world stage with optimism and determination. The nation's journey is just beginning, and the possibilities are as vast as the country itself. Europe's $2 trillion trade shift to Canada was a calculated, strategic move. Facing trade challenges with the U.S., the EU needed more predictable partners. Canada fit the bill. The EU has prepared for prolonged U.S. friction, building stronger ties with like-minded nations. The Canada-EU partnership is now a cornerstone of Europe's economic strategy. Shared challenges with the U.S. have fostered solidarity and accelerated their alliance. Trade flows between Canada and the EU are surging, benefiting both sides. Europe gains reliable energy and resources. Canada accesses a massive, stable market. This bond is more than trade, it's a geopolitical statement, shifting centers of power. As this transatlantic bridge solidifies, it's laying the groundwork for a more balanced world order. The trade shift isn't just economic, it's deeply tied to global geopolitics. Instability, from South Asia conflicts to leadership changes in Europe, is fueling uncertainty. Germany's new Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, signals a shift in EU economic policy. Internal EU dynamics have enabled bold moves like the pivot to Canada. geopolitical crosscurrents make international business unpredictable. For Canada, success requires both economic savvy and diplomatic skill. The trade shakeup reflects a deeper realignment of global power. Economic shifts mirror the world's wider geopolitical instability. This trade realignment has real consequences for companies and individuals. US giants like Tesla are seeing sales plummet in Europe, hit by anti-American sentiment and shifting trade winds. Meanwhile, companies like Ferrari are thriving, showing how the shakeup creates winners and losers. New trade agreements like the India-UK Pact are opening vast markets outside the old US-EU axis. For workers and business owners, these deals mean new opportunities and growth. It's about the American worker at risk, the Canadian farmer finding new markets, and the European consumer with more choices. High-level decisions in Washington, Brussels, and Ottawa are reshaping millions of lives. The impact is uneven, but the transformation is profound. This is the human side of the global trade revolution. Financial markets are reacting to the trade shakeup with anxiety and adaptation. Initial expectations of US interest rate cuts have faded as domestic data remains strong, creating confusion for investors. Uncertainty makes long-term planning difficult, with market volatility fueled by false hopes of trade deals. Companies hesitate to invest, and markets struggle for direction. Amid this, Canada's pivot is seen as a stabilizing move, earning investor confidence. Diversification is giving Canada a more stable outlook. The US, Europe, and Canada now face the challenge of navigating this new reality. Early signs suggest adaptability and diversification are the keys to survival. We are witnessing a permanent transformation of global trade. The era of a single superpower is ending. A multipolar world is emerging. New alliances are forming based on shared interests, not old allegiances. Canada's strategy of diversification is a blueprint for success in this new era. The future will be defined by collaboration and adaptability, not protectionism. New trade blocs are redrawing the economic map. Winners will be those who embrace change and foster diverse relationships. The $2 trillion shift is just the beginning of a new chapter. For global business, the message is clear: adapt, diversify, and look beyond traditional partners.